Welcome back. Today we're going to delve into an incident that occurred in New York Central Park. This seemingly mundane dispute between two park-goers sparked a significant debate about race, privilege, and power dynamics in the United States. This incident involved Amy Cooper, a white woman walking her dog in the Ramble, a protected wildlife area in Central Park, and Christian Cooper, a black man who was birdwatching in the same area. On this eventful day, Christian asked Amy to leash her dog in accordance with the rules of the Ramble. But what happened next was a shocking display of racial bias that resonated with people around the world.
Would you please stop? Sir, I'm asking you to stop.
Please don't come close to me.
Sir, I'm asking you to stop recording me.
Please don't come close to me.
Please take your phone off.
The first 10 seconds of the clip have already demonstrated a lack of situational awareness on Amy's side and zero empathy for the dog she's holding by the collar. And what's exactly wrong with pulling out a phone with the intention to record the incident? Why is she asking him to stop? If anything, such Amy's behavior is even more of a reason to keep on recording. If the situation is spiraling out of control, your best bet is to collect proof, is it not? Also, let's take all facts into account. There's a white woman and a black person in a park with no witnesses around. Now, I want to point a few things out. Amy's dog was unleashed in the Ramble, an area where leashing is required for the safety of the wildlife. It's not a dog park, it's a birdwatching park. She allegedly refused Christian's request that her dog be leashed. Christian later explained he regularly encounters dog owners who refuse to leash their dogs in leash-only areas, which is both harmful to birds and disruptive to birders like himself. This led him to carry dog treats to offer to off-leash dogs as a method of tricking owners into leashing their dogs, since he has found that dog owners tend to distrust strangers and will leash their dogs in order to prevent them from taking the treat. When Christian beckoned Amy's dog toward him with a dog treat, Amy yelled, "Don't you touch my dog!" And that's when Christian started recording Amy. It is worth mentioning that Christian methods of dealing with dog owners like that are unconventional. He is in a way a self-appointed Ramble dog police with no actual official position. Therefore, his methods could be considered somewhat weird by some people. So with that in mind, before we continue the clip, after the incident, Christian posted the follow-up post on his Facebook wall, and I think it's important for us to go over it. It will provide some insight into Amy's behavior moving on. Central Park this morning. This woman's dog is tearing through the plantings in the Ramble. Me. Ma'am, dogs in the Ramble have to be on the leash at all times. The sign is right there. Her. The dog runs are closed. He needs his exercise. Me. All you have to do is take him to the other side of the drive outside the Ramble and you can let him run off leash all you want. Her. It's too dangerous. Me. Look, if you're going to do what you want, I'm going to do what I want, but you're not going to like it. Now this is where Christian made a slight mistake. After hearing these words, it's likely some people would consider it as an actual threat. Amy doesn't know Christian. This is actually probably the first time they've met each other. So looking through Amy's eyes, it's no surprise she'd consider Christian's words as some kind of threat and somewhat explain her aggressive demeanor. The rest of the conversation goes, her, what's that? Me, come here, puppy. Her, he won't come to you. Me, we'll see about that. Then he pulls out some of those treats I've mentioned previously. That's basically when he started recording the incident. So let's continue.
Please don't come close to
And
me.
I'm taking pictures and calling the cops.
Please call the cops. Please call the cops.
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Please tell them whatever you like.
This is crazy. She's clearly overreacting, and the fact that Christian has chosen to record this incident just fuels Amy's aggression even more. Also, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Are we blackmailing each other now? She knew the power in this statement and went in with the full intention of wrongfully incriminating him.
Excuse me?
Also, this is a blatantly false police report. Don't worry, I'm going to comment on how she's treating the dog. But before that, honestly, people who make false police reports like this should be sentenced as if they are guilty of the crime they accused the innocent party of, especially when it's so clear that Amy had malicious intent by trying to call the police. Amy straight up said, "I'm going to tell them that an African-American man is threatening my life." How reckless can you be? And this was intentional as well. Now let's roll back a bit.
Excuse me?
What's genuinely disturbing here is the sheer recklessness towards that poor dog. Who holds a dog by its collar in a way that barely lets them support themselves with their back legs? You'll notice in the video that I'm trying my best to not show how poorly the dog is struggling because it's too painful to watch.
I'm sorry, I'm in the Ramble, and there is a man, African-American, who has a bicycle helmet. He is recording me and threatening me and my dog. There is an African-American man. I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog. And my... I'm sorry, I can't hear you either. I'm being threatened by a man in the Ramble. Please send the cops immediately.
Apparently, Christian is threatening the dog and Amy, but as we see in the clip, in the past 30 seconds, Christian did nothing but breathe while she was progressively accelerating the situation by putting on an act that her life is in danger. We can see that because she's continuously shivering her voice to appear more victimized and raising her voice to imply a cry for help.
I'm in Central Park in the Ramble. I don't know.
Thank you.
The last thank you from Christian as Amy was leashing her dog was honestly all it ever needed to be, but unfortunately that was not the case. Let's now delve deeper into this incident and try to look at it from different angles. The incident is not just about an unleashed dog, it is about the reactions and responses of the individuals involved and the consequences of those reactions. Amy's reaction to Christian's request was antagonistic. He had a reasonable expectation that a rule would be adhered to for the safety of the wildlife. She disregarded this request, indicating a lack of empathy and respect for the rules and for other people's interests. Instead of trying to defuse the situation, Amy's decision to call the police brought an alarming racial element into play. She told the 911 operator, "There is an African-American man. I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog." In a society where racial bias is prevalent, such a statement could have resulted in disastrous consequences for Christian. To its core, it basically highlights the power dynamics between people of different races and how they can be manipulated. Christian's action of filming the incident was a good choice. With his phone, he was able to capture the confrontation as it unfolded, providing crucial evidence of what transpired. Of course, Amy's treatment of her dog in the video also received criticism. Some could argue that since it was in the heat of the moment, her focus was not on the welfare of her dog, but rather on escalating the situation. Though it is still difficult to give her a break because the dog had to almost pass out from the lack of oxygen in order for her to finally crouch down to its level. Moving on, the video went viral, gathering millions of views and causing a public outrage. Amy's employer, Franklin Templeton, fired her from her job. This shows how personal actions can have professional consequences, especially in an era where everything can be recorded and posted online for all to see. NPR news article elaborated on the situation. Amy Cooper, the white woman who received widespread backlash in 2020 for calling the police on a black man birdwatching in New York's Central Park, has lost her lawsuit against the employer that fired her following the incident. In May 2021, Cooper filed a suit against her former employer, investment firm Franklin Templeton, where she worked as a portfolio manager. Following our internal review of the incident in Central Park yesterday, we have made the decision to terminate the employee involved, effective immediately. We do not tolerate racism of any kind at Franklin Templeton, the company said. She was fired the day after she called the police on Christian Cooper after he asked her to put her dog on a leash in a part of the park where dogs are required to be leashed. In her lawsuit, Amy Cooper alleges she was fired on the basis of race and sex, and that Franklin Templeton defamed her and caused her emotional distress. U.S. District Judge Ronnie Abrams dismissed Cooper's claims of racial discrimination, reasoning that Franklin Templeton never referenced her race in any of their statements but made condemnations of racism. Christian's sister also played a vital role in bringing the incident to light by posting the video on her Twitter account. This incident could have easily been forgotten or ignored if not for this action. We see here the power of social media, both for good and bad. TV host Trevor Noah's comment about the incident, stating how it shows the different ways white and black Americans perceive police, brings forth another dimension. It shows that racial bias is deeply ingrained in our society and impacts how we interact with each other and with institutions such as the police. This incident also led to changes in legislation, indicating that our society is moving towards holding individuals accountable for their actions. The New York State Assembly proposed a bill to make false reporting against protected groups a hate crime. This law, prompted by the incident, shows that there is a recognition of the power dynamics at play in situations like this and a willingness to address it. In the legal proceedings, we see more about the complexity of the situation. Amy was charged with filing a false police report, a misdemeanor with a maximum penalty of up to 1 year in jail. According to Forbes news article, it was announced that Amy Cooper was charged with a misdemeanor for falsely reporting an incident in the 3rd degree, which is punishable with up to a year in jail. And she was also issued a desk appearance ticket, which, if convicted, she was supposed to be given a conditional discharge, community service, or counseling as opposed to jail time. However, the charges were dropped after she completed a 5-session educational and therapeutic program. Christian Cooper's decision not to cooperate cooperate with the Manhattan DA's investigation was also notable. According to the New York Times news article, the Manhattan District Attorney's decision to charge a white woman with filing a false police report against a black man in Central Park does not have the support of one key person, the victim himself. The man, Christian Cooper, has not cooperated with the prosecution's investigation. According to Christian, the consequences alone of her being publicly shamed were in his view already too much. On the one hand, she's already paid a steep price, Mr. Cooper said in a statement. That's not enough of a deterrent to others. Bringing her more misery just seems like piling on. Mr. Cooper's decision not to cooperate may present some challenges for prosecutors, but it also reflects a wider debate among people who generally consider themselves allies in the growing movement to call attention to and fight racism, not just in policing, but in society. According to Times news article shortly after the incident, the woman issued an apology. The article reads, "The woman, since identified as Amy Cooper, apologized for making the call in a Monday evening interview with NBC4 New York. I sincerely and humbly apologize to everyone, especially to that man, his family," she said. "It was unacceptable, and I humbly and fully apologize to everyone who's seen that video, everyone that's been offended, everyone who thinks of me in a lower light, and I understand why they do. When I think about the police, I'm such a blessed person. I've come to realize, especially today, that I think of the police as a protection agency, and unfortunately, this has caused me to realize that there are so many people in this country that don't have that luxury," she added. Christian responded in an interview. Here's what he had to say.
I do accept her apology. It's a first step. I think she's got to do some reflection on what happened. You know, up until the moment when she made that statement and made that phone call, it was just a conflict between a birder and a dog walker. And then she took it to a very dark place. And I think she's got to sort of examine why and how that happened. And I want to move it a little bit beyond her, because it's not really about her. It's about the underlying current of racism and racial perceptions that has been going on for centuries.
This shows a great level of compassion and a desire to address the root cause of the issue rather than focusing on individual punishment. As for what happened to Christian Cooper, well, to our pleasant surprise lately, he's been working his own National Geographic show on birdwatching. CNN Entertainment News article reads, "Birdwatcher Christian Cooper was thrust into the spotlight in 2020 when he filmed a racially charged encounter with a white woman in New York Central Park. Next year, he'll be back on television on his own terms to showcase his passion for birdwatching on National Geographic. Cooper will host a series, Extraordinary Birder, which National Geographic says will take viewers on a journey through the wild, wonderful, and unpredictable world of birds around the U.S. Cooper, 59, told the New York Times that National Geographic reached out to him about a potential series a year and a half ago. "I was all in," he said. "I love spreading the gospel of birding." A National Geographic spokesperson told CNN the show will premiere in spring of 2023. When CNN reached Cooper by phone, he declined to provide additional details, but he expressed his excitement in a post last week on Facebook. "Birding has exploded in popularity recently, and I'm looking forward to putting a spotlight on these amazing creatures and the extraordinary birders who love them and work to protect them," he wrote. As of now, a quick Google search reveals that the first episode of the 6-episode documentary series was released on March 12th, and so far it has gotten positive reviews. There's also a teaser trailer for whoever is interested.
I'm Christian Cooper, and I am a birder.
I'll be putting up the link here and in the description for you to find. This incident involving Amy and Christian Cooper in Central Park is a microcosm of the larger issues that plague our society. It isn't just about a dispute between a birdwatcher and a dog owner. It's about race, power dynamics, systemic bias, and our reactions in tense situations. These issues are not isolated or singular. They are present across different contexts and affect all of us in one way or another. Therefore, it's crucial to remember that our actions and reactions can have far-reaching consequences beyond what we might initially consider.